Uploading.
I prefer brains over brawn as well. I think it's a waste of effort to test our combat skills. It's a minor province in the makeup of a starship, Captain.
I have to admit that this video was originally going to be a breakdown of Riker, and that I only intended to use this episode as a small example in a larger video. Don't worry, I'm going to still do that, but it's kind of crazy to me and fun that a 34-year-old episode could inspire me to do a separate video after just watching 1/4 of it. Thus is the power of the Trek universe in my mind. Anyway, let's take a look at Picard's decision to jeopardize the life of 1,000 people for that of 40.
Mr. Worf, I didn't give you enough credit. Continue the simulation. Divert all power shields.
Several modified beams.
Stay between the Ferengi and the Hathaway.
Engage phasers and target.
Fire when ready.
Before I go into the minute details, let me set the stage. The USS Enterprise and the USS Hathaway are in the middle of a simulated battle. During this time, a Ferengi vessel enters into the fray and begins firing on the Enterprise. At first, I was really aghast at just how stupid the Federation is. The Ferengi fire on the Starfleet flagship, and after everything is said and done, nothing happens? This isn't the first time this happens either, but honestly, the way the drill was ran by Starfleet gives the Ferengi all the plausible deniability they would ever need, at least from a certain point of view. It seems like one ship is attacking another, to the Ferengi at least, and they may not know what's going on. Additionally, it's unreasonable to think that the Ferengi act like Starfleet does. They don't have the same regulations. Perhaps, instead of hailing an aggressor, they simply fire on it to help the one that needs assistance. In the end, they are going to try to take one of the vessels as a prize for whatever valuables may be in store. They are in Ferengi after all. But, in a way, at first, they're acting altruistic. So, we'll just leave that in the air. That aside, as I was saying, the Hathaway and the Enterprise are engaged in a simulated battle. The Enterprise, thinking that it's a trick, ignores the Ferengi when it appears, and it's taken by surprise when attacked. This causes all kinds of issues for the Galaxy-class starship, because of course it does. It's garbage when it comes to combat.
Where are my weapons?
Unavailable, sir. We cannot disengage the modified beams. The connections have been fused.
But we're now off to the races. The Enterprise can get away, but the Hathaway cannot. Neither the Enterprise nor the Hathaway are in any kind of condition to put up a fight, so what are we going to do? Which, before I continue on, I love this, by the way. I love the fact that they still have children on the ship at this point, and even though thousands of episodes show why that's a bad idea, we still have people who will defend families on a Starfleet vessel. Picard orders the Enterprise to come between the Ferengi and the Hathaway. A military advisor on the Enterprise gets into a fight with Picard about what they should do. The ultimate conundrum is, do they sacrifice the Hathaway with 40 or so members to save thousands? Or at least 8,000. And to be frank, staunch defenders of murdering Tuvix would ultimately have to agree that the Enterprise should cut and run. After all,
were I to invoke logic, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
But Picard doesn't. He is unwilling to sacrifice the 40 crewmen. To be fair, this isn't the smart play.
Transporter function's gone, sir. Shields reduced to 1/5 intensity.
Use their moment of indecision to escape.
I have 40 crew members on board the Hathaway.
Who should be sacrificed to save 1,000. Acceptable tactical losses considering the circumstances.
Not to me.
After all, the military observer isn't wrong. The Galaxy-class starship is garbage in combat, at least right now, and still has immense value. It's the most sophisticated vessel in the Alpha and Beta quadrants, and its destruction, or worse, its capture, would be catastrophic. If it were me, if it were Shaw, if it were most military people, I think that a tactical retreat is what would occur. But we aren't dealing with any pragmatic person. We're dealing with Picard. And this is where Picard shows his strength.
I am open to suggestions.
Captain, we are now capable of launching a limited number of photon torpedoes.
I've already given you my advice, Captain. The Hathaway is expendable.
A lot of people think that I hate Starfleet and the Federation. I don't. It's just, as organizations go, it's full of fascistic idiots, and they don't ever act pragmatically and get far more people killed than necessary. But looking at the individual citizens of the Federation and the individual officers of Starfleet, honestly, we could be so lucky to have our future mimic that. Picard is one of the finest diplomats and greatest leaders that Starfleet has ever had. His strength is in listening to his people and leaving no man behind. When Captain Pike says everyone comes home, Picard envisions this sentiment. He knows that he can't fix the situation himself, but he's put some of the greatest minds together in Starfleet, and he listens to them. A plan is orchestrated, one that is scary as hell and apt to cause the destruction of the Hathaway anyway, but it's their best shot. The Hathaway does have warp drive, which no one was aware of until this point, so they will make it appear like the Enterprise has destroyed the Hathaway and the Ferengi lose their prize. Once the vessel drops out of warp and turns around, it'll look as if another Starfleet has arrived. I'm not going to get into how the Ferengi fell for this, it's obviously kind of dumb. We'll more focus on Picard's decision to not abandon his crew. Let's make no mistake, he put at least 1,040 people's lives in jeopardy versus sacrificing only 40. Now, we can stand in judgment of him, we can say it was stupid, we can say it was reckless, he put women and children in danger, and it was, well, absolutely Starfleet. Unlike the real world, tech and plot armor is a real thing, and Picard, whether subconsciously or not, knows that. He uses his people, he uses his technology, and he ultimately wins the day. I have to say, to me, this is one of the more prouder moments of Picard. It's when he's in his element and when he saves lives. He was foolish to put the Enterprise in danger for the Hathaway, but I don't think he would be the man he was during TNG if he did anything else. He believed in his people, and he believed in the technology, and ultimately it worked out. Within the Trek universe, he's a true hero of the Federation. But these are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.